Hello all, welcome to the blog Automation Home. Today we have released the new version 4.1 for reading the test data from the workbook. So let me quickly jump into the demonstration. So, so for that you need to have a POI API jar files in Java build path for reading the test data from the Excel files. So let me show the Java build path. So these are the all the POI API jars. You need to have a Java build path for all these jars and download the latest version of a automation home data driven framework 4.1.jar 4.1 jar from the repository and set it in the build path. Let me show the sample program. So we have if you have a large set of data, so if you have a big module or test case need a large set of test data, then you can have for each test case, say test case 1 this test data and say you have say 50 rows of test data for this test case. Similarly, you can have a flight info 1 where you can have a say 30 plus rows of test data. So in that case you can go with this kind of approach. So what if the project is very small or each test case needs not more than 4 rows of test data or 5 rows of test data. In that case, placing the test data in multiple say sets like say you have 10 test cases. For each test case, you need to have a test data of 4 rows or 4 rows nothing but this 4 rows or 5 rows. Then placing in a multiple sheet, it's tedious to maintain. So instead of that one, we can maintain in a single Excel sheet if you have a less amount of test data. So we can go with the approach already which you have seen in the demonstration video of 4.0. So we can go with this approach. Let me modify this one. Say so we can go with this approach. So this is test data for test case 1 and this is the test data for test case 2. So with this approach, what we are having is, so for each test case, for first test case, no need of configuring the initial position for the test data 1 and for test case 1. From the second test case onwards, you need to mention the initial position for reading the test data in the have part of configuration test settings in the Java program. So it works fine until and unless the test data is limited. So I have the test data is growing. Say the test data is growing to so till here it works properly. But when it is going to touch the header, like one, there is no empty row between this header and this one. So in that case, already existing feature, it is giving a issue. So in that case, again, you need to move this test data for the test case 2 and place somewhere else, and the same initial position need to update it in the source code. So this is the issue. So as and when the test data increasing, and again updating the configuration settings in the test data is not the better idea. So what is the problem is, like, so with the existing already existing feature, there should be at least one blank row between the test data for test case 1 to test case 2. So in that case you need to mark it as a some say some red color or something, so that it should not touch. This is only for our convention, red color or some blue or something, so that there should be at least one row gap between, blank row gap between. So as the test cases increases, as the test data increases, and updating in the source code, this is a tedious process. So in the version 4.1 we have came up with the future way, one of the future, let me, okay. So with the new version, with the new feature in the new version, so you need to update the you need not need to update the configuration settings as the test data increases. So now say you have a three rows of test data for test case 1. Similarly, if the test data is increasing, say suppose, so as the test data increases, you need not need to update any configuration settings in the source code. So even see, the test data for test case 2 is moving down, even though you need not need to update any configuration settings in the program file which you are using. So data driven framework will take care of it. So let me demonstrate how it works, what are the configuration settings and how to configure and how it works. So for this one, for each test data for test case, we have a start element and end element, start element and end element. So this is the test case name. This should be unique. So here you have specified test case 1, and here end tag you are specifying a test case 2. So it should not be there. It's the condition. Both test case 1 and test case 1. Test case name should be same, and a start tag, any, this is configurable. You if you want, you can place it as a start and end, or else you can place it as a start point, end point, or start element, end element. So this is your convention, and you can configure this element position, uh, this postfix you can configure similarly for this one. So let me open the program. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So first one is specifying the file path. This is a file path and sheet name. So we have flight info. Here we have the test case, test data for the test case are very less amount of test data, say 4 set or 5 set or whatever. It's less amount of it. Then we can maintain it in a single sheet, and easy to maintain since all the test data is in a single sheet. So and this is the sheet name. So this is the test case name, test case 1. So this should be matching whatever the test case it's there. It's a test case 1. And a start element, if you specify underscore start, it is mandated to have a underscore start. If you do not want to use underscore start, if you want to use just start, then you need to remove it, start. So this is the convention it's followed. This is the configurable and start element and end elements. So it is a combination of test case name underscore test case name underscore start element. Similarly for the ending, test case name underscore end element. So this is the end element. So whatever you set it for the start element, so you need to set it here. Test case name underscore start element, test case name underscore end element. So within this limit, the test data is considered. So outside this limit, outside the test case one, say if you have some other test data, say, yeah. So within this limit, it will take. So if you have some data here outside this tag start one, and if you have anything data outside this end tag of test case one, so even that this test data or on any data present outside this end element is not configured, is not considered by the data driven framework. So, and this one is configurable, as I said, it's already present. This feature is present already in the existing, already present existing versions of data-driven framework. So you can place execution equal to mode run, execution mode run, and no run, and this all this data is configurable. So this is nothing but test case header name, nothing but the execution, nothing but this one and this one and this one both should be matching, and other one run or no run, run, and this one and here it should be matching. So let me place it as no run for this one. So whatever the data you place, this one and this one should be matching. So so whatever the value you set it for the s will be the row which is set for s is run. So whatever the value you set it for s will be considered by the data driven framework, and other value for no it is set as no run, so it is ignored by the data driven framework. So this is how we can filter the test data whether to consider or not, and you can specify any name. If you do not want to use run or no run, you can specify it as your own customization, enabled or disabled. The same thing should be configured here, enabled and disabled. So the same thing it can be configurable here. So let me execute the program. So let me show have only two sets, only two rows of test data, Kingfisher and Emirates. So which is considered by the data driven framework, and other this row is ignored by the data driven framework. Let me execute the program, run as Java application. So Kingfisher and Emirates flight name is Kingfisher, and yeah. So if you do not want to use this configuration, if you want to remove this one, yeah, you can remove it. If you do not want to use this configuration run or no run, yeah, you can remove it, but the test data will read all the data present in within the start and end element. So in that case, if you do not want to use the same configuration, need to be commented in the as part of the settings, data driven framework settings. Let me run this, run as now you can see three rows of test data for test case one. Sorry. Okay, you can see three rows of test data. Let me make this also no run. So let me just now it should read only two sets of. Let me remove this now. Now the row position is changed. Even though if the row positions are changed from earlier to, uh, so it does not make any effect on the data-driven framework. So if I re-execute the program, only one row should be displayed. Let me uncomment this configurations. Let me re-execute the program. Yeah, only one row is displayed. So if you want, insert it. So now, if you want to read the test data for test case 2, this one. So here, now one more thing. If you go with this, so you can add the rows and remove the rows. It does not make any effect to the existing data-driven framework. So if you see, it has two more rows, airport 1 and airport 2 for the test case 2. So let me read this test data. Test case 2. The start element is test case 2. Sorry, test case name is test case 2, and start and element is end elements are underscore start and underscore end. So let me read this one. So when you are reading from the hash map, it returns the hash map. So hash map, it contains so whatever the header is there. Say this is the header, and this is the test data for this. It will be a key value. Key is a flight name, and Kingfisher is the value. Similarly, if you are going to next row, this is the key, the flight name, and this one is the value. Similarly, this one. So if you add any row to the existing test data, so you need to read the test data based on the header name, airport 1 and airport 2. The same thing I have done. So in case by mistake if you have given say 3 and 4, 3 and 4, so there is no header with airport 3 and 4, and it will return null, right? Sorry. Mm, yeah. Let me see the okay. Okay. It will read first one Kingfisher if I execute the program, or else let me place this one. Okay. So if I execute this program, it will read two rows of test data for test case 2. One is Kingfisher and the flight name with Kingfisher, and another one is Indian Airlines. Let me execute the program. Run as Kingfisher, another one is Indian Airlines. So let me add some other some data to the test case 2. So in this version 4.1 has the data increasing for the test case 1. So there should be no effect while reading the test data for the test case 2. So it should be working. So even though uh, the row position for the test case 2 changes, so data driven framework will take care of the row changing. So you should not so it will take care of whatever the row changes or column changes. So it does not have any effect on the existing program. So now let me re-execute the program. So here we have a test case 2, and I have added few more test data, few more rows of test data to the test case 1, and now it should not affect any test data for test case 2 should not have any effect. You can see there is no effect. So let me update it again. Now you can see the updated results. Kingfisher 1 and an airline fan. So let me go with again. After adding the test data for the test case 1, so is it have any effect? Let me check. So does the data driven framework all the data for the test case 1? Yeah, the data driven framework, even though multiple rows of test data is added to the data driven framework for the test data for test case 1. So data driven framework will read all the test data which are marked as run since it is configured. So this is test case 1, test case 1, and for the test case 1 there is no header airport 1 and airport 2. Let me comment this. Okay, so now how many sets of test data should be there? Let me place it. Now uh, 1 is 2 3 4. Now 4 rows of test data is considered by the data driven framework. One is flight name with Kingfisher, Indian Airlines, Emirates 1 and Emirates 2. Let me, so even the test data is added and even the positions. Let me change position as well. Let me update the row positions. Let me place it at some. So for the test, if you see here, for the test data for test case 1 is updated, even the row positions are also updated. So data driven framework does not have, like, your coding does not have any uh, side effects. Even the data driven framework will take care of all the row positions and column position changes. So let me re-execute the program. Run as Java application. Yeah, so one is Indian Airlines, Kingfisher, Indian Airlines, Emirates 1, 2 and 3. Emirates 1, 2 and 3. You can see. So that's how the data driven framework works. One more thing you need to take care is, say, let me cut it. So there should be no blank rows between the headers. It should be continuation. There should be no blank rows. So if it has any blank rows in the test data, so data driven framework will not read. And one more thing, insert even. For this it will, okay, make it as run. Okay, let me remove this one. Let me remove the configurations. Since we have removed the header configuration, the same need to be updated in the settings as well. So if you have a blank row in the test data, so it returns null. So whatever the blank row it has, let me execute the program. Now this time, since there are no execution mode set run or no run, it will read all the test data for the test case 1. So, so yeah, it has blank. So it will be blank or it will be null. So if there is no data. So whereas for the other um, format, other format of test data in the Excel workbook, say let me show. In this format, if you have a blank row or blank column or blank row in between the test data, it does not work properly. So in this feature, it works properly, and yeah, let me yeah. One more thing I need to show. So the condition for this so the condition is it should be whatever the test case name. This should be in the zeroth row. So in the Excel using the POI API, it will read it from the zeroth row and zeroth column. So so it can be this test data, this row can be in start from any row. It can be from the 5th or 10th or 12th. But this one should be whatever the test data, test case names should be in the column 0. So what if I want to go with let me remove this one. So what if you want to go with instead of using the default uh, column 0, by default it will take from the default column 0. If you place it in, say, if you place it in other column, say the test data is present in the 0 0 1 2. So if you execute the program now, the data driven framework will not work properly. Let me show. Test case 1, test case 1, right? Run as a Java application. Let me see the output. It is showing that test case 1 start element is not found at the column 0. So whatever the test case name, it checks by default. It takes from the 0th column. If you want to have a different column position to be configured, if you want to have any information here, and if you want to have any organization specific any details or anything else here, and you want to start the test data from the 0 1 2 second column, yeah, you can go. So you can configure so each and everything is configurable. Let me test case column, custom column, this customization column number. So we are in the 0 1 2. Then let me remove few of data. leave it. Okay, run. So let me re-execute the program. Now the test case name is in the 0, 1, 2 in the second column. So I'm using the customization. So I'm setting the default instead of using the default column provided by the data driven framework 0th column, I'm using the column number 2. So what it does is it uses test case 1 underscore start. It checks in the column 2, and similarly for the test case 1 underscore end in the column 2, and in between it will read the test data present. So if you see, we have marked two rows as considered by the data driven framework, and other rows are ignored by the data driven framework. The flight name is Kingfisher, and the another one is Emirates. Let me re-execute the program. Run as Java application. Mm, Kingfisher Emirates one. Let me see. It is 4 rows. It is displaying. Let me see what we are taking. 0, 1, 2. Okay. This setting, since the settings are commented, so it is not filtering this test data based on the execution run or no run. So let me remove. So let me uncomment. So now these settings are configured for reading, for filtering the test data. Let me re-execute the program. So run as Java application, and now you can see two sets of test data. One is Kingfisher and other one is Emirates one. So, so let me show with the data driven with the data provider annotation, reading the data using data driven framework with data provider annotation. So let me show it is in the test test. This is the Java file, and this is the Excel file. So test case, let me see the configuration is test case 1, and two rows are marked as run. One is Kingfisher and other one is Emirates. Let me run the program, run as test. Now you can see two rows, Kingfisher and Emirates. That's how the data driven framework works with the 4.1. Have a nice day. Thank you.